Gonna start recording. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for another Brunch and Learn brought to you by The Qualified. We are just taking the time now to welcome everyone in. We have some folks who are joining us from several different places, but we have a few folks here right in Zoom live with us right now, and we are so thrilled, so excited, so happy to have each one of you here. My name is Japera Barnes, and I'll be serving as your host for today. This is our sixth Brunch and Learn for 2025. And for those of you who have joined us before, you know we do this every single month, same time, same place, right here on the third Thursdays of every month, right? From 11 a.m. Eastern Time until 12 noon Eastern Time. And if you're joining live today, you have already received some communications from us. But I'm so excited about this time today because when we have little technical difficulties and things like that that happen, that means that this is going to be outstanding. Okay. Outstanding. So I hope that your expectations are high. We have a beautiful presentation laid out for you. I do want to share with you just a little bit more about the Qualified. The Qualified is here to serve all of your HIM educational needs. If you are looking for certifications and need assistance getting prepared for those certifications, we're here to help you with that. If you're looking for continuing education opportunities like this Brunch and Learn, we're here for that as well every single month. And we have a lot of recordings and other types of teachings that are available. Even our employers, if you are an employer and you need to fill some roles with some qualified health information professionals, we can assist you with that as well. And if you're a job seeker looking to get placed into the profession, we are here for that. So you can learn more about the Qualified at www.the-qualified.com. And we'll post that information in the chat for those of you who are live with us right now. Listen, without any further ado, I want to get into today's presentation and share with you a little bit about our speaker for today. So we have with us Miss Renika Jordan, who is a professional consultant in medical coding, revenue cycle, and health information management. She has over 15 years of experience where she has been tackling all types of problems and challenges in the health information sphere, but specifically in HIM, in coding and revenue cycle leadership. She comes with us to us today with a wealth of information. She has a master's degree in health informatics and analytics from the University of South Florida. She also has a Bachelor of Science degree and an Associate in Science degree in related fields from St. Petersburg College. So if we have any SPC alumni in the call today, we'll shout them out. And also our USF alumni, we shout you out as well. Renika has earned several credentials with AHIMA, and those credentials, as you can see on the screen, include the RHIA, the CCS, CCSP, CHPS, CDIP. Renika, are there more? There are
No.
more. No more? Okay. Listen, that list is going, oh, we're getting all the alphabet soup today, okay? So you're also Lean Six Sigma Green Belt certified. So she has that credential as well. Now, Renika has worked with various healthcare organizations, and some of those organizations include Duke University Healthcare System, SPC, as we mentioned earlier, HCA, Chapters Health System, Shriners, Operation Park, Kendrick, Grace Point. The list goes on. She contributes to her community, so she's very big on volunteerism and spending time uplifting and upbuilding other HIM professionals. So she serves on AHIMA boards, on FAHIMA boards, Gulf Coast HIM Association boards, and she's also served within some educational boards as well. So Renika, we welcome you. We are so glad to have you today. And we are expecting to be enriched by all this wonderful wisdom that you will share with us. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Renika Jordan. She'll be speaking on expanding horizons, integrating HIM and coding into the revenue cycle. Welcome, Renika. We turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. I am very excited to be here and to speak about expanding horizons, integrating coding into revenue cycle, HIM and coding. So thank you for joining me today. I'm excited to explore how integrating health information management and coding professionals into revenue cycle can drive success in our healthcare organizations. This is about more than just workflows. It's about accuracy, strategy, and elevating our roles as health information professionals in the healthcare system. Next slide, please. So our objective today is twofold, right? So first, to understand where HIM and coding professionals fit into the revenue cycle. And second, how can we leverage that integration to improve operations and empower careers? It's my hope, my desire, and it has been my prayer that you'll leave today with actionable strategies and insights to take back to your own teams and your own departments. So again, our objective is to provide insight to the integration of health information management and medical coding into revenue cycle, demonstrating how this collaboration can enhance efficiencies, accuracy, and career growth within the healthcare industry. This presentation aims to empower professionals by highlighting strategies, tools, and best practices to maximize their roles and contribution within revenue cycle. Next slide, please. So let's start with the big picture. What is revenue cycle, right? It's every step from a patient scheduling an appointment to the final payment received by the provider. Think of it as a financial engine powered by clinical accuracy and operational efficiencies, excuse me. So revenue cycle includes patient registration and insurance verification, charge capture and claim submission, payment posting and account resolution, denials management and appeals, compliance monitoring and reporting. But when you think about each one of those roles, HIM and coding is right there in every one of the roles. Every one of them, if you really just think about it. I mean, you can think about what you do every day and how what you do every day crosses that swim lane with your counterparts in billing or in patient registration. And if you really think about it, like coding in HIM is right there. So like patient registration and insurance verification. When a patient, that's just one example, when a patient is registered to be seen for either a well-care visit or a exploratory visit, or they're trying to get continued health care, there's a code, there's a diagnosis code or a procedure code affixed to that registration, to that insurance verification. That has to be affixed in order to send and get authorization for the patient to be seen. Again, coding is right there. And that same code is going to travel and take that journey through that cycle of care with that patient for that encounter or that episode to the back end. And sometimes that same code can cause a denial on the back end. So that's why I say when we think about coding and health information, we are already in revenue cycle. I think now it's moving into the forefront, and those areas where our swim lanes are merging, they're being put in the spotlight now in healthcare organizations. Next slide, please. So rules of HIM and revenue cycle. HIM professionals are the custodians of health data. Our role is foundational, ensuring documentation is complete, accurate, and compliant. We support privacy, data integrity, release of information, all critical to the financial side of care. Examples include the MPI cleanups, ensuring that documentation is complete and in the chart, timely for coding, understanding trends, and keeping patient information safe. Accurate documentation and record integrity is so important when we talk about revenue cycle side of the house, because if the data is not correct, if the documentation is not correct, if there is anything wrong in that patient's encounter as far as name, date of birth, all of those key data elements, but also the actual body of the document, right? If a procedure is documented one way, but we send a code out for another, that automatically trends a denial, right? That automatically triggers that. So as I said, that's one piece of it: accurate documentation and record integrity, compliance and regulatory compliance. We talk about HIPAA, we talk about CMS, we talk about all of our other regulatory bodies that we have to adhere to in the healthcare environment. Data analytics for performance improvements is so important, right? Most healthcare organizations, data analytics is driving their decision making. So we coders and health information professionals are the foundation of that accurate data being captured and the data overseers of that. And then, of course, privacy and security of patient information. We govern that, right? That's our ownership as well. We own that part of it, keeping the patient's data safe, only giving information to those with a need to know, or those that have a right to know to do their business. So we are right there already involved so intricately with revenue cycle as a whole already, from a health information professional as well as coders. Next slide, please. So, role of medical coding in the revenue cycle. Coders are the translators, basically. We turn clinical documentation into billing data that drives reimbursement. And coding truly is the driver. As I indicated in my last, in a slide back or two before, coding starts at the beginning of that authorization and verification process, because they are looking for a code with that. They're looking for a reason. We need to understand what we're going to be paying for, right? That's what insurance companies want to know. What is this? What are they here for? What services are we going to support this patient in getting? So coders are the main key translators for that language. Without accurate coding, claims are delayed, denied, or underpaid, which directly affects the bottom line of healthcare organizations. And some other things that medical coding supports in revenue cycle: assigning accurate codes for procedures and diagnosis, ensuring claim accuracy to prevent denials, as I stated, facility reimbursement from payers, and then identifying trends and opportunities to improve. That last one is key, right? Because so much of what we code is driving data. It's driving data on the back end. And if you, as coders, I know we get so focused on coding our records from day to day and just, getting our key functions right. But what we are doing, though, is really shaping the health of our healthcare organization as a whole, because data is what's driving facilities most of the time now. They're pulling data. Anytime there's process improvement, strategic planning going on, anytime that they're looking at budgeting and bottom lines, the first thing they want to know is, are we providing this service, or can we provide this service, or how well is the service doing? Are we getting paid for the services we're already providing already? And all of that is used, all of that data is pulled basically by pulling codes, CPT codes and ICD-10 PCS or and ICD-10 CM codes. So pulling codes is what's driving the data. It's what's allowing them to understand patient population within the organization and how they can better support those populations. So understanding that data, understanding too, when you're coding and as health information professionals, when you're even validating chart documentation, understand that data is really foundating your organization, their bottom line, one, and then financial decision making is now top tier and top priority for making decisions behind the scenes. Next slide, please. So let's talk about benefits of integrating HIM and coding into revenue cycle. When we bring HIM and coding together with finance and operation, we reduce silos, right? And I know that I've worked in several healthcare organizations, and silos are huge, right? Everybody loves to kind of stay in their lane and own their area. We love to do that, but I feel that futuristically, we're going to have to kind of abandon that and start adopting and fostering collaboration and integration. Um, that means reducing those silos again. That means fewer errors, faster revenue, and higher compliance. That's what that gets us. Integration also boosts morale, like ownership. Professionals feel seen and supported and essential when they know that they're having a direct impact to the health of the organization they're aligned with. Other benefits, improving billing and accuracy and reducing denials, which is huge. With the climate of healthcare today, reducing denials is probably going to be one of the top drivers when you talk about leadership and strategy, because the payment buckets are getting smaller. And with more AI tools being leveraged by payers, healthcare organizations are going to have to also get smarter and improve the way they're letting their claims go out the door and how they're getting them prepared to go out the door. And I feel like this is no better time for HIM and coding to come in and spotlight all the skill set that we bring and collaborate with revenue cycle and integrate with revenue cycle to kind of solidify and give some more support to that billing side of the house, those revenue functionalities. Enhancing compliance and auditing readiness, that's huge as well. HIM already does that. I know in the past, I worked for an organization where HIM, we would pull all the records for our compliance audits and get them ready for it. But during that time, we were really just getting direction on what compliance needed. We really didn't have the meat of what they were looking for. We just knew what documents they wanted. So H&P discharge summary, just to name a couple to give you an idea of what I mean. And what that didn't make sense to me. So I went to the compliance director and said, it would help us to help you if we understood what are they looking for, because we could tell you the health of the charts, right? HIM, we do that. We keep deficiencies. We know what's signed. We know what's missing. We know all of this stuff. So I said to him, if you would just give us what they're looking for and what this audit encompasses, we probably could tell you what it's going to look like beforehand, because we could tell you what's missing, what's not here, we could tell you what the chart looks like, the health of it. And when I had that conversation with him and collaborated with him on that, we had better auditing outcomes from a compliance perspective, because he knew right hand what areas he was deficient in, what areas he needed from a compliance perspective to kind of put some strategy in place and improve so that going forward, those audits looked at better. And he also understood that audit coming up, once he got HIM involved and we were able to start speaking to what exactly was there, not there, what's missing, what's not missing, that collaboration we shared, he knew what he was going to be pretty much looking at from that audit that was coming up. So that's what I mean when I say collaboration, opening up and understanding each role and how you and your role can better support and integrate your skill set and integrate what you do every day into what they do every day to make it more shored up and more ironclad. Better financial outcomes and revenue optimization. That's another huge one for revenue cycle encoding. I can't tell you how many ADRs or requests for documents that we get, administrative requests for documents that we get on the back end in revenue cycle. And so often, if you are siloed in that, and in your organization, if your organization doesn't have that partnership where HIM is in support of pulling those records. Because I know in some organizations, the billing department has the ability to pull their own information, right? And then some have specialties, but people that specifically do that. They specifically pull those documents. And oftentimes in the organizations that have a person that does that, that focuses on ADRs and things like that in the billing, on the billing side of the house, they are people with HIM backgrounds because they can better understand the language of the record, and they understand what document would support what and what should be pulled, instead of sending just a bunch of records that when the payer gets it, it doesn't match up to what they're asking for, and it doesn't, it doesn't support the service provided. And yes, most ADRs will tell you what they're looking for, but if you're an HIM professional, you might be able to look at that record and say, yeah, they want this, but this also should go with that because that's gonna support that document. So that's where that would come in at, that enhancing and better financial outcomes and revenue optimization when you have things like record requests to support the claim, you know what I mean? Or even an appeal for that matter. And then it increases opportunities increases career opportunities and skill advancement. I can't tell you how many times I get on a call on the clinical side and on the revenue cycle side, now that I'm in revenue cycle. And when they hear I have a health information and a coding background, how excited they are, because so many times they're missing that piece. A lot of times you get in on the revenue cycle side, you don't see a lot of credentialed coders or credentialed health information folks. And that is changing, but traditionally you don't see that. But I can tell you that how beneficial it is and how helpful it is and how it improves opportunity. I mean, it really shores up that, though, it really removes those barriers from silos, and it shores up that revenue cycle side, right? Because now you have somebody that understands coding that's looking at your billing. They're just not understanding it from the billing perspective and the revenue code and application of the revenue code and the setting up of the actual claim and all of that. But that now they're looking at the coding itself, you know what I mean? Understanding it. If they get a denial real quick because the code is not specific enough, they understand that, versus someone that just has a billing background. If their tools, their scrubbers or their billing tools that they use are not, that doesn't give them that information, they truly have to depend on the payer and call the payer and ask them, well, why was this denied? You know what I mean? And a lot of times the payers don't want to offer that kind of information. They want to tell you exactly what they sent out on the EOB. Whatever that reason code was on the EOB, that's kind of what they're going to, tell you when you get them on the phone, which is really not helpful, because if you could tell from the EOB, you generally wouldn't make a call, right? So that's important as well. That's another reason, another major benefit of integrating HIM and coding into revenue cycle. Next slide, please. So strategies of successful integration. Integration doesn't happen by accident, right? It takes leadership support. We all know that leadership has to support, and it's like a downstream type of culture. And they have to support workflow alignment and cross training. So we know that. So if we have any leaders on the phone, definitely, think about that in your departments. And if you're not a leader, but you have opportunity in your area to have insight or learn or collaborate with billing just to gain awareness, I encourage that. I always thought that it was important to understand what my counterparts did, because it always made me aware of how my role in my department impacted theirs. And that was always important to me. For example, having coders and HIM professionals sit in on a compliance meeting creates shared goals in a proactive culture. And I have so many examples in my career that I could speak to for that. But this one particular example I would like to share. There was a time where we were having coding audit, right? But compliance brought the auditors in, and they also brought consultants in. Now, I was not a part of the beginning stages of this. I honestly didn't even know it was going down until the auditors and the consultants said, we need to hear from coding and understand, ask wanting to know what issues were we having? Like, what are we seeing in our own records? What trends are we identifying as coders from a coding department? And so when they came to me with the question, my response immediately was, I didn't even know we were being audited, and it was kind of siloed. HIM and coding and compliance was siloed, and it was kind of just like they come in when something's wrong, but there was no real collaboration established with this organization. That just was, those two departments were very siloed. And that was one thing that I said. I said, we should be working together on this. I don't know how we're having a coding audit and the coding director is not involved. And you know what I mean? I just don't know how we're doing that. I understand that in this, I understood in the organization that coding, auditors and consultants came through compliance. I understood that and I was totally on board with that. But I just felt like there should have been some collaboration when the audit or the consultants had an impact on the area that I oversaw. So long story short, I came in, I gave them some trends that we were seeing, gave them my recommendation, what we were seeing. And that was my foot in the door. I was so excited though. After my frustration about it, I was excited because that was an opportunity. It was an opportunity for me to now have a seat at the table. And I was not going to give my seat up after that. That once I got in, I was in. And so I was super excited to have the opportunity to do that. But that was the foundation of my relationship with compliance and us partnering together on that. Not only that, but on many, many other things to come that helped us improve the organization as a whole. Some other strategies that we can use for successful integration: cross-train and skill development. And that doesn't always mean it has to cost money, right? If your organization offers any kind of training, or if they have trainings in your learning center that are billing department specific, take the course. No, it does not have anything to do with your day-to-day, but what it does do is it allows you to see how your billing department uses your EMR system. It allows you to see what areas they look at. It allows you to see their workflow and some of the functions they do. Take the course. Try to gain that understanding. If you do have if your organization does foster cross-training and development, let them know you're open to it. Let them know you want to learn more. A lot of times organizations are willing and very happy to give you more information and knowledge, but you have to say you want it. They initially are saying, hey, we want you to come in here and do the things that we hire you to do, right? But if you come in and say, I want to do what you hired me to do, but I would like to learn more about what we do in other areas as well, especially areas that I share swim lanes with, definitely going to be open to that. So definitely speak up on that if you have those opportunities, or as I said, if there's training opportunities that are, in your learning center for your organization, take those trainings. Establish collaborative workflows. Look at your current swim lanes. Look at the things you do, the tasks that you do every day. Think about how they cross lanes, how the lanes merge, how they might merge with billing, how they might cross into the billing department or into the registration department. Think about all those things and start to look at who those people are and collaborate with them. Start to make them know who you are, introduce yourself. That's simple. If you guys have a shared departmental meeting, speak to somebody just randomly. Hey, I see you're in billing. I'm in HIM. Nice to meet you. When you're onboarding is another great thing. I know that we form these relationships with people we start in our onboarding courses but if you see someone that's starting out with you, if you're new on a job, or if you are in the position of bringing employees on, try and partner them with someone new onboarding into the organization, with someone in a department that they share swim lanes with. Form those relationships right from the beginning. Leverage technology and automation tools. This is huge because so many times we have EHRs and we use them to do just our job. We don't venture out and see what else it can do. Most EMRs have great tools, technology and automation, great tools on pulling reports. If you're not using your EMR to run your reports, you need to be figuring out how you can do that. You need to be trying to understand what capacity your EMR can help you get data out of it for. That is what it's for. That is why it was created, one of the main reasons. So leverage that. Pull that technology out and utilize it. Get in there and play around. If you have a sandbox and you have some downtime, play around in your EMR. Try to sort it out. Understanding how it can be used. I love using, like right now, I get the privilege to work in Epic every day, and I love their feature, Slicer Dicer. I use it every day. I get emails asking about possible revenue leakage, wanting to know, hey, are we collecting this? Are we getting paid for these? And the first thing I do is run to the EMR, run the Slicer Dicer, put the code I'm thinking about, or put the coded question in there, and pull a report to tell me how many times we've coded this, how many times, if we're getting paid, if we're being denied, what physician is doing it, who are our top performers on physician. It could tell you a wealth of information, but you have to use the tools. So whatever tools you have, whatever tools your organization has afforded you, make sure you use those tools and use that technology to your advantage, because we're all smart people, right? So we want to work smarter, not harder. We want to use these beautiful brains that we've been blessed to have. We want to use those and let this technology that we're going to have it anyway, so use it. And then continuous performance monitoring improvement, another great area for you to leverage data and leverage technology. I can't tell you how amazing it is to watch something continuously, and not only from a place of putting out a fire or a problem, but just watching it from the perspective of looking for opportunity. For example, in my arena, in my current role as a revenue manager, one of my things is to I look for trends, right? I look for revenue trends. I look for opportunities of improvement every day. That's one of my jobs, looking at data and identifying opportunities to close the gap. And I love pulling data and seeing if there's a trend. Sometimes I don't find trends at all, or I might find a one or two. And then when I get down to the root cause of it, I understand why it's a trend. It could be payer related, it could be this. But one thing it does do is if a payer changes the policy that's going to create a truckload of denials, I'm going to know it before that truckload turns into millions of dollars. I'm going to know it right off the bat because I'm looking at trends monthly. So continuous performance monitoring improvement is key. Looking at your processes every year, seeing what information, what technology your organization has introduced that may be able to reduce some manual stuff you're doing. Maybe you're doing a lot of stuff in Excel. Maybe you're tracking things in Excel. If your organization is updating your EMR and doing updates every year, don't just ignore those and say, oh, they're updating the EMR. Understand what those updates mean to you. It could open up a key function in your EMR that could make your life easier. So make sure you're paying attention to what IT is doing and how your system is being updated. What are they doing? Are they giving us any added features? And if they are, how do those features impact my department, and how is it going to impact me and how I can look at my work every day? Next slide, please. And that last statement was a great segment and segue into this slide, because we're talking about tools of effective integration, right? Technology is our new bridge, right? Tools like computer-assisted coding, real-time dashboards, electronic health records create transparency and effectiveness. But tools are only as good as the people that are using them. We must invest in training and adoption. And I say that with all love and compassion, because we have to train folks and we have to adopt. Even if you have been fortunate enough to be in a part of a EMR implementation, an EMR upgrade, and any organization that you're aligned with, you are very fortunate. I absolutely love being a part of that because you get to see the nuts and bolts of that EMR. And you get to work out all the kinks with everybody on board, and it's a really great time to collaborate. And I just always love it. It's I got the experience back in my very first HIM job 15 years ago, and every time I get the opportunity to be a part of one with the organization, I love it. It is a lot of work, a lot of legwork, but it is definitely an experience that you won't forget. And electronic records, I talked about that. That is definitely one of the tools for effective integration. And as I said earlier, be sure that you're learning how other areas are using that EMR. Computer assisted coding platforms, those are great. CAC is not, it is our friend, it's not our enemy. It helps us to code faster, right? And it allows us to be those subject matter experts that we are, right? We let the system suggest something for us, and as the expert coder, we go in and we look at that and we apply then our knowledge and awareness of, the guidelines, the conventions, and all of the rules and regulations that we have to apply to make that code right. So it is our friend. It just helps us to have more efficiencies and helps us on that production side. Same with revenue cycle management solutions, our scrubbers, our tools that we use to verify and check patients in and registration to validate their insurance right away. All of those tools are effective integration. And it's important that as HIM and coding professionals, we understand what those tools are. We may not use them, but understanding and having awareness of what your organization does use to do these things is key. It's key for awareness for you, and it helps you better understand what they may be up against when they're doing their role. And as well as you understanding what you might, if you decide you want to become that broader person, right, to have your hands on both sides, understanding those tools is going to be paramount for you as well in expanding yourself. And then data analytics and reporting tools. And I can go on and on about data analytics, but I won't. But I will just say leverage it. Leverage your data. Understand your data. It's your friend. It's fun to look at data, and it does tell a story. And so start to get familiar with that. When you're running your deficiency reports, look at it. Let it tell you the trends. We already know what deficiency reports do. Like that's, to me, HIO 101, right? We know deficiency reports tells us who our problem docs are, who we might have to chase after a little bit. But let it tell you something more than that. Look at what are they deficient in? Is it a particular procedure? Is it a certain time of the month? Or look at when, however granular your data gets, let it tell you more than just this provider is always a problem. Let it tell you more. It could be a workflow related to that particular procedure that doctor's doing that's causing the delay in signing. So we have to look beyond, use that data analytics and reporting, use those tools to tell us more. Whatever data it'll give us, let's look at it from a whole picture perspective, right? Next slide, please. So career growth and future trends. This is probably one of my favorite sections because the future is bright for us in HIM. It really is. I always say it was probably probably outside of my family and my loved ones, but when it comes to career, this was the best decision I ever made in my life to enter into HIM and coding. And now that I'm fortunate enough and I get to use those skill sets and sit in the revenue cycle and have integrated myself in the revenue cycle. I couldn't be more pleased with what I see and get to do every day. Because as I said, the future is bright. Career paths are evolving beyond traditional coding roles into data analytics, understanding data from a whole flow of data, how it moves. Compliance is another one. CDI is another one. Certifications, mentorship, and interdisciplinary exposure is key to growth. So as I said, get involved. Some other ways involved in your organization and understanding different roles, and really try and take opportunity to learn some of that stuff. Even if it's just a 15-minute break and you jump on your learning center and learn something about what billing does or something like that. If you can be involved in a call, I know a lot of times we tend to want our time back at work, right? We get excited when we get minutes back in the day to do our day-to-day tasks if a meeting is canceled, or if you might opt out of a meeting because, oh, I never say anything, they never bring anything up for HIM, but it's okay. Think about all the information they are bringing up and how many swim lanes, how many people on that call that you share a swim lane with that you can learn something from and take away and have more knowledge about what they do and how your jobs are integrated already. Advanced certifications in HIM and coding. We already know the basic ones, but AHIMA has introduced quite a few micro credentials now. So go out there and look and see what micro credentials can give you that knowledge that you can bring back to work and apply in those areas. HFMA is great. They do they have a wealth of revenue cycle credentials and certifications. AAPC has some. So look into that if that's what you are looking to do, but just try and grow and utilize those things that are out there to kind of also integrate yourself from a self-professional standpoint. Specialization in compliance, auditing, and data analytics, all of those areas are great. Oftentimes, when you start doing that at work, just running reports and stuff like that, you can start to gain information and knowledge just like that, just by practicing and utilizing the tools you have. You'll be surprised at just taking the initiative and doing that, how far that will take you. Look for leadership roles in revenue cycle and management. You have so many people that have RHIA and RHIT, and they kind of stick to, our own area, but move that silo, branch out. I honestly just saw a revenue cycle director role, and they were looking for a RHIT or RHIA, and that just made my heart warm, to be honest with you, because I'm like, yes, finally, they're looking for HIM professionals, because I can see how we can bring so much to that role. Just me working with revenue cycle leadership and understanding what they do every day, and then having the experience of working as a HIM and a coding director, understand what that looks like. They really do closely mirror each other. So don't shy away from looking at those roles. And then adapting and emerging trends like AI and automation. Automation is not our enemy. And the only way it's an enemy if you shy away from using it. Learn from it, grow from it, learn to use it early, practice at it, because I can promise you, if your organization makes a decision to incorporate it, you're going to have to do it anyway. Why not go ahead and open yourself up to doing it? That way you can be a SME or a subject matter expert in your organization, in your department, and take the lead. So yeah, I encourage that. Next slide, please. In conclusion, by integrating HIM and coding into revenue cycle, healthcare organizations can achieve great efficiency, accuracy, and compliance. This collaboration also empowers professionals to maximize their contribution and advance their careers. And just to wrap up, HIM and coding are no longer behind the scene functions. They're not. They're coming to the forefront. They're getting spotlight. We're strategic partners in revenue compliance now, and care quality. Right? We're becoming that. Integration isn't just a best practice anymore. It's a necessity, and it starts with us. And that's all I have today. And we can open up next slide for Q&A.
I am overjoyed. This has been outstanding information that you have shared with us, Renika, and thank you so much for taking the time to really break down and give us an understanding of the role that as HIM professionals we can play, as coding professionals we can play in the revenue cycle kind of grand scheme of things. So thank you so much for that. I'm going to ask Julia to chime in. Julia, are there any questions in the chat whatsoever at all that we can pose for Renika?
We don't have any questions that have been posed in the chat, but I did want to ask whether or not Renika had a recommendation for her favorite micro credential that AHIMA is offering. or if it really is based on the individual's interests in the workforce?
That's a great question, and I honestly think it's based on that person's individual goal and desire and what they want to do, what their area of interest is. Because you can have you know you can go they're out there. Credentials are out there. We can get many. I have many. Trust me. Some I just had to let go because I wasn't even using them. But I think when you really think about what it is you want to do and what added value you want to give to yourself, then you choose that credential. Look at credentials from a perspective of your own added value and how that's going to allow you to benefit the organization you align yourself to.
I had a feeling that may be your answer. Thank you so much.
You're
I
welcome.
love that. That's so perfect. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you do have questions, feel free to post those in the chat. Renika, I do want to know though, how can people stay in contact with you or reach out to you? Because you are the Rev Cycle HIM coding expert. And so please do let us know how we can connect with you in the future should people have questions or maybe need some guidance, on what path
Oh,
to take.
sure. Oh yeah, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn, Renika Nicole Jordan. So I'll reach out to me. I'm happy to help. I check it often because I always get students asking, why did you get this credential or how did you get into this? And so I love answering those kind of questions. I think that we need more people in the organization willing to share, hey, this is what I did. And yeah, sure. Go ahead and try that or give recommendations on what didn't work for you, did work for you, but just share your experience so that it does allow someone coming out to take the path that they truly are passionate about. I think that's what drives us to excel and really, really change things, right? When we have some passion about ourselves and about what we're doing.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to ask those questions. It's sometimes people are intimidated, not even just students, right? But sometimes professionals,
Yes,
other professionals are intimidated to make those connections, especially
yes,
if you're on LinkedIn. That's a huge reason that that platform exists is to
absolutely.
create a space for professionals to connect. So don't be afraid to ask questions. That person could be whoever, but just reach out. And a lot of times you'll find that those who are, maybe super, super successful or they seem super successful and they could seem intimidating, usually they're very willing to share their stories. They're very willing to kind of pour back into folks. So I think that's a great avenue, a great opportunity. Use LinkedIn to connect and ask questions.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. All right. So no other questions, Julie, in the chat. Any comments in the chat that we should highlight?
We got a quiet audience with no questions, floored by Renika's expertise, and we're excited to see what's next. Hope folks will be connecting with Renika. And we wanted to say thank you again for the Foresight HIT Advisory Committee joining us today, whether that's live online or through our replay, which will launch in the next few days. We're so pleased to have you. Thank you for your support.
Absolutely. I agree with you, Julie, on that. Thank you all for joining us today. We are thrilled that you took the time out of your day to be with us, to receive this enriching information, educational information. And you can always find out more about the Qualified by visiting our website. It's www.the-qualified.com. And you can also follow us on social media. We're on social media and you can stay up to date on what we have going on. We do know that our next Brunch and Learn is coming up in July, every third Thursday, right, of the month. So we'll be here again July. We have an outstanding series of presenters. So stay tuned, and make sure that you connect with us so that you can know what's going on. Same time, it'll be at 11 a.m. Eastern time until 12 noon-ish Eastern time, all right? And then for those of you who are credentialed AHIMA holders, if you have an AHIMA credential, then make sure that you monitor your emails because we will be sending out CEUs for this event. All right. And all of our Brunch and Learns are connected to CEUs. So again, it's been a joy. Renika, thank you for being with us today. We honor your time. We appreciate you for sharing with us your expertise, your knowledge, your wisdom, your experience. It's been a joy, and we are all leaving with something that we could take away for today and apply to our professional lives. So everyone, we hope that you enjoy the rest of your day, have an outstanding weekend, and even better rest of the month. And we'll see you next time at the Qualified Brunch and Learn, same time, same place in July. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.